Hello, welcome everybody. We're doing Once Human. I haven't streamed this, but I've played a little bit. A little bit. Where's my kitty at? Kitty. His name is Basket. Anyway, I don't know what we're doing. Probably side missions. A little bit, yeah. I played less than you. Let's see. Water. Eat the food in the water. I got too much water. That's fine if I have to drink more water after eating dehydrated beef. Venison, actually. Okay, he's fine. He's fine. So, let's see what we are doing. So I learned that... Ooh. No. I'm not doing that. Is this commissions? Oh. You know, I could probably do that right now, because my little dudes probably have stuff. He likes to play in the water. He's a weird cat. It's okay. Don't mind that. You. Give me that. You only found 8 coat hangers? You're fired. You found 2? You're both fired. You guys gotta get on Dick Boy's level. Look at that. Look at that. Ridiculous. Can always count on Dick Boy. A little bit, you say, as you have a little shack with a few deviant and a giant cat. Excuse me, the cat is deviant. My silver. It is... I need to break this stuff up. I don't remember picking all that shit up. I'm exhausted. Oh no. Bam, bam, bam. So fun fact, if you fill in the last slot in the box, even if these aren't maxed out on the stacks, they won't let you put it in there. Why? Because it's stupid. See? 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 There's plenty of space. Won't let you do it. Oh, this isn't supposed to be in here. This goes in rocks. That's why. That goes there. That and this and that and this. Those. There are rocks in here? There is rocks in here. Give me my rocks. Okay. Rocks. I think this is supposed to go over in the other box, but oh well. Don't look at that number. It's fake. Fake number. It's a fake number. Damn it. Okay. Here we go. I was told... Whoops. Wrong button. Oh. I have a new node. Sulfur chemist. Demolition expert. Solar power. I don't have those things. Precious metal refined. Interesting. No thanks right now, I don't think. Ah! Okay. A chainsaw? Come run around with a freaking chainsaw? That sounds dope. I want it. I want a chainsaw. Hey, what's up, Marachi? Can we get a shout out for Marachi, please? Me. Do I need to turn in the commission? Do I gotta go talk to him about the commission? I don't recall. Thank you. Oh, it's... Please note the title. I don't wear clothes because they have better effects. I put effects on them so that I have the fashion. I can't make these white pants and I'm upset because they are ruined. Very ruined. You can keep praying to let this guy or something, whatever you're doing. I don't care. You don't have to die. You don't bother me. At least you have pants. I walked out and I was like, why the heck do I have no pants? And Rinji's like, I got shorts. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why is everybody so sexist? Give female characters clothes, goddammit. The fact that we start off in tiny undies is so annoying. I have too much cake. I didn't even modify that. That was just the standard cake. Where's the town? I'm lost. Is that it? No, that's a monolith. Where's the town at? This? No, it's that one, isn't it? Wait. Where am I? Did I go the wrong way? There's a... Yeah, who's Aiden? I think I went the wrong way. I don't remember going this way. B. I found 3 pairs of pants in the first 20 minutes of gaming because I was very infuriated of not having pants. So I opened every box. I find it kind of silly that you can't pick up the old clothes and like mend them. Also not being able to mess with the stuff. God, which direction am I going in? It's supposed to... Oh, it was at the road, not this way. Stop chasing me. Your lives don't matter to me. You can't even throw stuff. I have an unread message. What's that? Bunker access card. Interesting. I haven't found a bunker. Does that imply that there's a bunker here? Is the music loud? Alright. What did I say? So don't follow me. Heck off. Volume's fine? Okay, cool. Cool! I just remembered that I went in the complete wrong direction. Excuse me, Bambi. Look at him go! Finding all that iron. You'll have to bear with me here. I hate the bicycle. The motorbike. The controls are goofy. You is lost, I'm not surprised. Shut up! You shut up. You shut up. You're stupid. You're stupid. Out. Your service season is coming to an end. Don't forget the deviation you secured with within your friend's territory. If you still need it, make sure to withdraw it before the new seasons begin. Huh? I don't think I did. I didn't know I could do that. I messed with his thing once. His container. Okay, that time phrasing. You have any deviations in my ear? Oh, the container? Did I? Oh, That's a flashlight. I forgot. Did I put it in there? I don't remember putting anything in there. I messed with it. Reggie, I'm ransacking your house. I really don't think I put anything there, so I'm not actually going to, because that's far away, and I've already came this far. I'm going this way. Ba 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 ba. Last time I was playing this, Renji's character would go from bald in his undies to... no you can't, you're busy. He would go from bald in his undies to straight up white hair and all his colors are wrong. I don't have an axe. Where'd I get a stone from? I wanted an apple. These apples are huge. No wonder you only grab one of them. Why is the apple tree huge and the orange tree not? You are so busy. You have stuff to do. You're doing Stinker Cove again. The easy prime war. Easy prime war. I got grenades. Pew 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 pew. I feel like there's a lot of houses that I see in the server, but I never see that many players, you know? I run into him, like, very, very rarely. Then again, they've probably all binged their main quest. Hello? What's up? Didn't it? Oh, okay. I have to do 2 more. I don't know how to fish. No. I can do this. I don't want to do that. I can make food. I want to play. Turn inside. That's how you know you have a problem. The kitty's back. Kitty. Kitty. Cat. 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 Kitty. Come. Come, kitty. Yes. I have 2 kitties. I'm a big crazy cat person. Right. For real, a task this time. Those are my commissions. I guess we can start with the photos. Wait. Photograph a crocodile. Oh, wait. I don't know how to photograph. How do you take pictures? Do I have to have a camera? Wait. Maybe not that task. I can't do that. I don't know. Restart? No secret flavors. Let's go there. That has a marker. There we go. Alright, fine. I'll do the bike. That seems far away. I need to refill this, and I don't know if I have fuel on me per se. I do find it quite convenient that I don't have to retrieve my bike and bring it to the garage. It is simply always there. It seems dumb for how they act with everything else. But... some of the old servers, everyone is in the in-game areas. That's why I can't find groups for the lower silos. I'm preparing for the new season, might switch over to. How do you prepare for the new season? Everything resets, doesn't it? Do I keep my deviants? Mirachi? Do they take away my critters? Some? They take some of my critters? How do I pick which ones they can take? They can take my samurai guy. I don't want them. Chicken. Anybody hungry? Well, but the samurai is cool. I believe you keep all the blueprints you learn. You get points to spend on what you want to keep. How do you get points? Like, what points? It seems that I can shoot things again with this gun. It was bugged. I got another paper doll. Cool. I'd rather have another dig boy. See, when I was headshotting before, like right after the update, it kind of would shoot them to a sliver and then the health would reset. Not sure if it was just because everybody was on because of the update. Dee-dee-dee-dee-doo-doo-doo. Yes. I'll be looking into it later. Oh, box. Guys, I found a box. Drugs. Drugs. Wait, that's not drugs. Extraction permit. Why do I need permits? Alright, guys, you want anything? Ah! Get away from me. I'm trying to order for my chat here. Gosh. Alright, you guys want anything? Why do they have muffins and donuts? None of this is chicken. What the fuck? Mirachi is the expert in this game in our circle. Yep. Okay, that's Subway. What the fuck? This is a chicken joint. I saw the chicken out front. Chicken. See? Chicken. Chicken. What? Chicken. It's chicken. What's shipping? Shipping is like when people are fans of things and they like to make characters smooch. They do that to VTubers because they forget that VTubers are real people and it's gross. Like... I don't want anything from an apocalypse restaurant. Oh, come on! Since when are you so picky? I got coffee. That happened to you once? Oh, what happened? Who was it with? Was it Renji? Renji's the root of all evil. He would tell you it's me, but it's false. I think it happened on his side once. I don't remember. Wee. I wish I could shoot from up here. That'd be cool. I have a free hand. I'll take it, less accurate aim if I could shoot from flying. I'm just ignoring those people. Why are you the first name to come up? Because... I don't know if you've noticed, you have a lot of female presenting friends. And people really like straight shipping.
Ah, great! You made it back. Any luck?
Yeah, I think that was on my side. Someone saying stuff. No, to stop that. Yeah, that's why that's a rule in my chat. Never happened over here, but just in case. Do you know you're supposed to open your mouth when you talk? I learned this from other humans. You go like pa 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 pa. Hey, no, no, no. That's not what anybody said.
Getting all the ingredients, marinating, cutting.
It was no fault of your own. You did what you were supposed to. You're shutting it down.
That's what we lost. Making food not just a survival.
What? Just tell me what to do.
You're a good egg.
It is what it is.
This is your reward. And why don't you also take this to brighten up your home out in the wilderness?
The only thing is, it's easier to ban people if it's written in a rule because then they have no reason to be like, oh, why would you do that? What? Oh. Huh. Huh. Oh, that's how you put that shit on there. Ow. Wait, did it put it on there? That's the same. I didn't know the shortcut for that, by the way, was K. That doesn't make any sense to me. Can I not put this on here? Oh, I have to push F first. Whoa. Got a dot now. I don't aim like that, though. It's hard to do things like that. Was that the quest? I just had to talk to you? Why was it level 13? Alright. I'm going here now. Woo. I hope we don't end up in doing the red stuff. This way? Oh, we're here. Look at that. So fast. I suppose I could talk to these people and pick up the other side quests. Need a hand? I've got 6 in my basement. You guys know you gotta open your mouth to talk, right? There's no telepathy. Is it telepathy? I don't know. Cult FM. I don't want to listen to the radio. Hey, what's down there? What's down here? Creepy basement? Ooh. Hello? Somebody talking to me? Hello? You talking? Who talking? What is that? What? Is magic world, so why not telepathy? There's a fake money printer here. What the fluff? Why print money? Excuse me, I have questions. Hey, your box disappeared. Okay, bye. Whoops. That was just a warning shot. Oh, my birdlet. Oh, hey, what's up, dude? Hi, I didn't know you were here. A dragon?
I admit it does sound strange, but that is all the more reason to investigate. In Sunbury to the west of
Does
here,
he just tell me where
people have
things are?
apparently
I
seen
sometimes think
flames
that's what
erupting
things
inside
are
of
like
this
for
blue
Iron Mouse and Connor. Yeah, I think so
Within the
too.
flames, it is said, the shadow of a... I don't have any more. As for where exactly...
Blah, blah,
Excellent
blah, blah.
question. Perhaps...
Hello. What's this thing?
Yes. The
Blah, blah,
mud
blah,
people-
blah, blah, blah.
the
Mysterious.
entire mud-
Blah, blah, blah,
unfortunately-
blah. Cool. We have other tasks. I gotta go talk to the person that I came up here for. Get out of the way! Bitch! Hello? Hi! Need a hand? I've got 6 in my basement. You must be the mayfly from Myers Market, the one everyone always counts on. You mean like every other player? Damn NPCs can't have a human brain, so they gotta borrow mine. That's why I'm here, whatever you just said, man. What happened to your eye? Wait, what do you want? Agreed to... Wait, an operation? I don't like surgery or doctors. I don't wanna. You got a butterfly skirt. Okay, bye. I want to do the deviations. Is it this? Let's go get the deviant. I want more Pokemons. You guys ever notice the aggressive nature of the turtles around here? They chase you forever, and for some reason, they're like, you about to get brain scooped again? That's not what happened. You don't know, you weren't there. You weren't even born yet. Guys, we have receipts. Safi and I have managed to get Renji to agree to a sandwich that isn't actual sandwich. Standard sandwich, I should say. It was midnight ramblings on Safi's part. Those turtles love biting use angles. Ugh. You shut up. No. I have receipts. Call me crazy, but I don't think that's how that works. Floaty. Ulysses. It's too late. Ulysses has written it down. There's no take-backsies once Ulysses writes it down. I wish the ore was a little easier to tell. Because the silver looks very much like the tin ore. And it's so random where it is. I don't even know what to do with the silver. Is it just for money? Also, this is not copper, this is gold. Copper is not that color. Even in a mine, it's not that color. It's green. From weathering. Change the color of the copper ore, devs. It's not gold. It's goofy. Don't be lazy. Of all the things to complain about, it's the color of the ore for me. Marachi, I heard that you were also having issues where you ran into something and it would just disintegrate. The gold looks like a solid rock of gold. Well, I wouldn't know. I keep seeing copper. I was trying to mine a rock and it disintegrated and it sucked because it was iron. Kiss butterflies. I know where I go. I go this way to this thing and I touch it. I touch the misty bits. Am I encumbered? Oh my god. I don't like you. I don't like you one bit. Immune, you bitch. I want to be up here for this.
What is that thing?
It's immune, V.
Head before.
What is that?
This fog is thick. Make sure it doesn't spot you. We need to try and dispel this fog somehow. Maybe we can find a way by searching.
Whatever you say, little bird. Whoop, that looked like a door. Bom, bom, bom. They're in like level 40, 50 areas. Ooh, a box. I like treasure. Even though the treasure's always junk. A dried orange. Petunia seeds. I can grow flowers? Can I shoot him now? Oh. Hello. Where'd he go? Victory. Hello. Oh, bye-bye. Or I already have him, but okay.
Okay. Now that was a bit
Mini
of a surprise.
feaster.
It's wild how the fog made it look 100 times larger than it actually was. Hopefully Lo knows what use this deviation can be put to.
Get away from me. He got exploded by a spider. What a dumbass. Okay. That was cool and all, but also not... I thought he was gonna take me to a cooler new deviant. Maybe I have to leave this area. Ah! Excuse? Who? What? The fuck? What was that? You? You bitch? You wanna play the sniping game? Sure. Let's play the sniping game. Fuck you. Ugh. I thought I was gonna have to fight. Orange. What's that? Grapes! My gosh. All the fruits. Beep 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 dee dee doo. I saw a crocodile the other day in the game. We found giant eggs the size of a baby deer. That's how big they were. And all the other eggs were tiny. I was very confused. You can catch those now. The crocodiles, you can catch the crocodiles. I wanted to catch a turtle. You can't catch the turtles though. I think if you can catch a wolf, why can't I catch a turtle? Why can't I catch the turtle? Whee! How about snapping turtle? Make it happen, devs. There is a snapping turtle that sees it chases me to the end of the earth to eat my ankles. I think he's over here. Hold on. I'll show you. If he runs up to them, though, he's gonna die. That's a bunny. Bunny. It does make it so I can catch all the snapping turtles to bite you. No. See the turtle over there? I see him. It's aggressive. Aggressive turtle. See him? Look at him. Try to bite me. Where'd the other one go? What's he running for? I don't know. There's a snapping turtle. Very nice. Yes. Yes. It's only a little nice because you can't catch them. Oh, do you see that baby jump? Stop shooting the animals, you crazy bitch. That's not a danger. Stop it. Stop it. Go get your eyes checked. Marachi, have you partaked in the gacha machine?
And in the cold light of day, not much of a monster. It obviously reacts to the
Did you get
fog,
anything good?
ballooning in size. What do you want to do with it?
I don't know. Is this thing safe to keep in my territory?
We can't
Yes,
just
because we
release
have
it
one.
back into the wild now, can we? It must be contained. I'm sure you have a securement unit you can use to store this deviation. Just make sure not to let it fill your home up with fog. And if my suspicions are correct, this is actually quite a valuable find. I think it will be
I prefer the
boost to your combat power.
blueprints
If used
straight
properly.
up,
Don't
though.
worry.
By the
I'll
blueprints.
help you
I
find
did
a
get
way
some
to
stuff,
control
but
this
I
little
like
guy.
picking. That's
Maybe
fair.
it could become the guardian of your territory.
Gacha systems appeal to people with gambling predispositions. If I could just buy what I wanted from the gacha, I would. But if I got free things to partake in the gacha to get the thing that I want, I'll do that too, though. I was very tempted to get the skin. Where is it? This skin? I wanted it. I wanted it, but I didn't want all the crap. I just wanted the clothes stuff. And there wasn't an option, just the clothes stuff. No, I just took a drink. Why do you do that? Well, literally just took a sip. Sip, sip. It wasn't water, though. I mean, I think I have a water bottle. Hold on. But it's warm and salty. Ugh. Blech. There is silver leaf all over my floor right now, and it's still in my hair. I can't find my vacuum. I think my fiance loaned it to somebody. Why am I in pain? Why am I hurting? Even potatoes are harder than humans. I'm sick of... Hardier than humans. I'm sick of potatoes. Somebody sick of potatoes. Cancelled. Break in. Butterflies. Why did you... Furniture? You have an actual kitchen. And dirt. This guy has dirt. Frenchie also has dirt in his house. Nee, 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 nee. Are we doing the dragon? No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do the dragon thing. Where's the dragon thing? This one. Oh man, that's the other way. When you sip unless we redeem. Leave my dirt alone. Now! Sweep your floor. Those are just preparing some dishes or ingredients beforehand. No. No, thank you. Oh, the bus is here. Get it, 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 get it. Convenient. Fuel, wonderful. Ah! Ah! Ah, what the fuck? They do step at me. Bye-bye. I got a book. Book. Whoa. That's a big ass tree. Can I chop it? How much wood does this give you? Oh, puzzle. Surprisingly not a lot. Hello, did I already do this one? Did I do this? I think so. They're all facing each other. You know what? We got fuel off of that bus. Excuse me? Bike? Oh, I do have fuel on me. Mixed fuel. A lot, actually. Dunno. Hello? Bike. Drive. Bike. Drive bike. Drive bike. Alright. No. This game is loading really weird for you. It might be because it's the weekend and people are on. What was that? Oh, see, what the fuck? With the colors? It just got disconnected. Oh. They wouldn't let me get on my bike. I broke my leg. Somebody broke their leg, Chad. Quick, give them some bandages. This way? No. Stay on the road. Staying on the road. Poor Marachi can't play the game she likes so much. Are you people? You're people. Okay, hold on, wait. I can deal with you, but I have to be off the bike. Wait. Wait, don't shoot me with stuff! Ah! Jesus Christ! Chill! Was it a turret up top? Alright, listen you. Anyway, trying to catch 22 different fish. Breaking legs, that's a Marachi move. Marachi, you break your legs a lot? I almost died. Oh my god, the range! Alright. Cool. Anybody else? Hello? Hospital. 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 Hello? Hey, what's up? Can't see you over there, my guy. See any cool monsters? I saw a house move once. It was weird. Somebody talking to me? The fuck? Oh, hi. What's up? Goodbye. I say gremlin quite often. Alright. First of all, she said cool monsters. Second of all, I'm not a monster. Third of all, I'm not cool. Was this where D was doing disco? Is it the disco ball? I saw D dealing with a disco ball deviant once. Look what you did. You protected your friend with your body. Way to be a meat shield, dumbass. You're mechanical. Take the weird compliment, gremlin. What weird compliment? Me. Gotta give them time to turn around so they know who they're dealing with. The cringe Harlequin cosplay. I have a bat. I should switch to it. Whoops. Hi, what's up? Did you know you shouldn't eat apocalyptic food, my guy? Okay, bye. Oop. Oh, up there. That requires a sniper. I want his mask. What? Hey. And see you. Oop. I didn't mean to do that. I have built none of the campsites. What the fuck?
I am not satisfied. Where is the food worthy of my being?
Ah!
Show me!
That thing is clearly not satisfied with the food. Are you sure you want to cook for it? Judging from its attitude, it won't be happy no matter what.
Ingredients box. Okay. Book. Steak combo. This one's blue. Love this guy. I saw him at other people's houses, and I was like, oh, I want the dinosaur. Oh dang. What do you want me to give you? What does he want? What is that? What? Spacebind backpack. Stores items from past seasons. I'll be using current seasons. Transfer to the space-time backpack. When signing up for a new season, you can transfer limited. Oh. And items found town I can't be transferred. Marachi, have you done the Eternal Land? What do I have to cook for him? What does he want me to cook for him? The orange?
This is pathetic. Not good enough.
Roasted meat dish. Oh. What do you want? Just a plain old meat steak thing? It's you place outside the game essentially. Oh. Like a house? It's where you are meant to decorate?
It's better, but still
An
not
island.
good enough.
Okay, what do you want now? Oh, I already made that. I was trying to give you that in the first place. I'm not stupid.
Finally.
Yay!
Food worthy of praise.
Gimme.
And drunk enough, little
What's he
one?
do?
Come on. We're gonna take you somewhere nice. This thing is gonna be locked up in our territory.
Alright, now to finish dealing with the people around here. Shirt. It amuses me. It amuses me. I wish I could have like an indicator of how far is too far for the game. Like if you're gonna have jank ranged, at least tell me how far is too far, you know? Like that guy probably too far, but I don't know. Till I waste a damn bullet. Not that I have to make those by hand. Sniper can't go that far. Handgun can go that far. There's another person here. Just show me people. Fuck. That shit. Huh? It's down. Where's the mysterious crate? So I can leave. Oh, I need 2 more crates, actually. What are you doing? Dying. That's cool. Very good for you. Oh. Sorry. Who see me? Oh, you? Hi. Can I interest you in my Lord and Savior pistol? Thank you. Bye-bye. Imagine it's on top or inside of a building. Treasure! Hmm. I feel like this one looks special. It has been chosen by me. You should have kept your eyes open. You should have kept your eyes open. Mister. Shoot. The flip is that? Toy car. Who? Who? A basketball? You guys wanna shoot some hoops?
Come on, guys! We got a job to do!
I shot his hand. Oopsie. Ooh. Renji, I found a car. You want it? It's a garage, too. Oh, I'm sorry. A garage. Alright. Upstairs? Oh my god. There we go. There's one! She's pink. There's no weapon in here. Those are weapons! Fuck. You fuck. Well, that was a bust. This house then? This house doesn't look special though. Excuse me, I'm the one around here that makes weird fucking noises. Thank you. Mind your business. Oh, what's up? I can't see the other one. Where'd he go? I can't see. Oh, was there not a second person? Oh, there he is. Whoop. I was trying to explode him. It looked like those things on him was explodey. I wanted to explode him. Would have been entertaining. And funny.
Akabit Sharusagira
Funny.
rated your channel with 2 viewers.
Gimme. No, gimme the box. Welcome, Raiders! Thank you for sharing your community with me, Aki! And hello! How was your stream? What were you doing? Vulture minion? You ain't even a real person, you're just a minion. Ah, there's a person here! Oh, purple? Ah, damn, it's just a flag. Hello! I give them a chance and they don't take it. Who? Where? What? Oh. Hey. Bitch. Oh, what's up? Listen, I was reloading! Back up! Asshole. Cheater! Walkie. In between apples. Well, I've killed 15 enemies. Apparently there's no elite enemies in this area. Maybe he's in the hospital. I didn't go in there. I went around it. Nee, 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 nee. It's a good thing in the apocalypse you can easily make more bullets. Cause I have terrible aim. Ooh. No. In here? This? Well. Milk frother. Aha! Got one. Playing Company of Heroes. A lot of freedom given. What's Company of Heroes? Haven't heard of that. There's a game that I've been seeing Corpo VTubers playing, and it's like... What is that? What is that? What is that? Is that a mine? Bro just put a mine under his feet. Oh my gosh, where's the big box? Is it up there? Where'd the big box at? Wait, a big box. World War II RTS game. I don't know what RTS is, but that's cool. My fiance likes war games. Maybe I'll tell him about it. Oh, who died up here? How am I supposed to get that? Give me that. Give me the stuff. Give me it. Real-time strategy. Aki knows all about war games. Oh yeah? Are you any good? You good at your RTS games? Oh wait. No. Damn it. Well, next house. Somebody better tell me where the fancy spooky loot is. Or I'm gonna be angry and you won't like me when I'm angry. I'll hurt your ears. What's the Hawthorne? Toilet. Toilet trash can. Don't dig in a trash can next to a toilet, guys. Don't mess with the toilet trash.
Did you hear that?
No. Well, that's quite dramatic, huh? Why did you explode? Oh, hello? What would you do that for? How are we supposed to have a gunfight if you're running away? Excuse me, sir. I hate to bother you on your day off, but I would like to know... Excuse me, I was talking to this man. I would like to know if you have seen a spooky box anywhere. Alright, that's just rude. I was talking, okay? Ah! Oh, God. Ah, jump scare. You gotta aim better. Bit hungry. I like RTS games. I'm a scholar rabbit. Humu. Killer rabbit. What was it? Hitman rabbit? Lethal rabbit? Anything in this area? No. A piano. Dink donk.
Hide and seek. You better hope I don't hunt.
Nothing. Gersh darn it. Where is the crate? Is this one of those that I have to find a purple thing and then it'll tell me where the crate is? I don't know if I've been in the motel. Listen, but I'm treasure hunting. Mind your business, gosh.
Did you hear that?
No. You didn't hear anything. Do not perceive me. Who's perceiving me? What the fuck is that? Oh, robot dog. Point blank and you didn't get hit? I don't think so. Fuck you. We're under attack. I don't know if it's necessarily an attack. You guys started it. Oh guys, look. Subway cookies. Ah! Stop! If you would just tell me where the treasure box is, I would leave. You don't have to get your knickers in a twist. How are you supposed to get up there? Ah! Well, everybody's respawning. That's cool. Ah! I pissed off the people. In here? Ah! What is just a box? Oh. Ah. Nope. Nope. Oh, you fucker. Ow. I don't know. Do I have one of these? You bitch. He body blocked me. That asshole. I don't see the glowy thing.
Did you hear that?
No. Where are you? No. Does this help me find my mysterious crate? I assumed it would be deep in here, and it isn't. Excuse me. I don't get to load in and automatically start shooting me. Excuse me, have you guys seen a box? I'm looking for a box. A boxy box of a box-shaped box. Not this one. That one's not even active. What the fuck? Well, next time then. I'm leaving. Fuck you guys. You bitches. Why? Stop! I can't shoot that far. Fuck you. That pisses me off when enemies have better range than I do. No, I'm not okay with that. If I can't shoot them, but they can shoot me, that's bullshit. Especially if they're lower level than I am. You know what I mean? That is called a bug. Not a feature. What is that? Deviant something. Corn? Is it corn? Wheat? Deviant wheat? Something red up there. I'll grow more potato. You got more potatoes? Leave the deer alone. What is your problem? Alright. I missed my turn. Oh, the bus is back. Wait. Well, that explains why these guys are all here. There we go. Got it. Do your move. Me. I'm coming in hot. Watch out. B. Fuck you mountains. Fuck you mountains. This way. Extra dimensional cat. Hello, I found Dino.
Ah, fascinating little thing, isn't it?
Those guys are the
Not too
worst.
menacing, as long as you know how to take care of it. You must have created quite the meal for it.
I think its bark is louder than its standards, to be honest.
Once again, I am impressed. It seems no deviation is too much of a challenge for you. As you may
I
have
like to
guessed,
collect
your
my little
payment is the dragon
Pokemonsters.
himself. A marvelous deviation you are free to contain in your territory. I'm sure it will benefit you greatly.
Does he make
I
me
will throw
food?
in some additional compensation.
That's
to cover
wasteful.
your
It just
containment
spoils.
obligations.
You log out and it just spoils
We are
automatically.
partners,
You don't even want
aren't
to keep up with it. I've logged back in less than 24 hours and all my stuff was spoiled anyway. Next, we are doing what we were originally going to do, I guess. Alright, we're gonna take a quick ad break here and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I'm sure you're wondering where Fracture went. Well, unfortunately, they are gone now. Hello, Safi. Beep, beep, beep. My flashlight. It's a good thing we don't have to look for batteries. Hello. What do you got? Food? I don't want that. Ooh. Wait. That. What's a frame for? Cucumber seed. Ooh. String lights. I want that. Does it go on this? Yes. Oh my god, do you see how fancy that was? 4 times soon? How do you do the more zoom? Hmm? How do you do the more zoom? This implies that I can zoom in more. Double click. Doesn't do anything. Double click what? Not doing anything. One shoots, one pulls up the scope. Oh my gosh. The scope did zoom. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It still says 4. Can you imagine if you got shot with a sniper rifle point blank? I bet that's not very comfy. Look at his mark. Ba 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 ba. I'll get it. Where's the book? Wins. Huh. Default flashlight. Fish distribution, automated mining. Ah. Mods, blueprints, tactical items. No. None of this talks about the fucking scope. I don't get it. Instructions unclear. Move! We're going to Denzel. We're going to do the something. Red? What do the lines mean? If it's further away, do I need to go lower on my scope thing? Is that what that means? I don't know what that means. And why is it only red on the top part of it? Oh man, I should have went home and repaired stuff. My pistol's been... It needs a little maintenance. I also didn't make any steel. So I can get more bullets. Give me that. I got a new phone, guys. New phone, who dis? I don't think I shot that the last time. The last shot. It just exploded itself. Sutherland. CHLMTC or ICAL? Oh, is that supposed to be an E? Chemical, okay. I can read. Shut up. I read it. I found it. Shut up. Don't patronize me. Renji, there's a ball in the sky. Renji, you remember the ball in the sky? Renji. The spiders. The giant spiders, Renji. Bandages. I like to leave now. Yay. Oh boy, who put that there? Renji, come on, we have to go fight the giant spiders. Is it dead? I feel like this scope makes me do worse. No, you can do it. We're not a team at a moment, so I can solo. Are you online? Okay. Well, still confusing. So is this one like... No. I don't get the scope. I don't get the scope. I don't get it. Oh man, the wall's too tall. The wall will be too tall. Alright, no. I don't get the scope. I don't get it. I don't get it. Not too high? Is it 4? I don't get this scope. I've been online for a while, but doing side quests. Well, rude. I can't see your ankles. Ah! I didn't mean to do that. I was itching my face. Yep. Alright, cool. Thanks for bringing me your ankles. Alright. Thank you. Got a jacket. You're rude because you played without me first. I had already made the announcement that I was going to be playing this. You could have joined. You're actively playing right now. It's not like I was hiding it. There was actually me saying, hey, I am playing this on this day. Which never happens. Me, 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 me. They need to quit sneaking up on me, man. When this gets to be later seasons on the server, do people go PvP? Box. Open this. Open this box. Open the box. Let me in the box. Climb up. Climb up. Up. Oh, up. Oh, elevator. 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 Elevator! Yay. Give me the treasure! Why is it so hard to find the other box? Hmm? You can't get me, the door is shut. Boom, 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 boom. That was funny. I didn't find any little crates. That's cool. Ow. Oh, there's stuff up there. There was stuff. I missed the stuff. Up. Excuse me. That's stairs. I can climb stairs. What the fuck? Regardless if it goes anywhere or not. One. What is this stuff? I feel like the treasure should be on top of one of these things. But it never is where I expect it to be. I forgot we were doing a task here. Oops. Oh, I'm in build mode. I was like, why isn't my findy stuff button not working? Sent a team invite. I didn't see anything. Wait. Something sees me. No, it doesn't. I don't see one. Where's Matt Fraser? Bravo. What is... Oh, is that the ball? Well, I'm not... Where's this other armor crate? I'm so good at finding stuff. That is not what I wanted. But it's your fault. This is storage. This is storage. Where's the treasure? Dang it, he didn't answer me before he died. Alright, asshole. Fuck you. Where's the treasure, spider light? Where is it? Where is it? Bitch. Nobody's answering. His head exploded. Can I get up on that thing? No, the ladder doesn't even go all the way down. What the fuck? That's weird. Mind your business, butterflies. I'm looking for important things in boxes. Box things! I didn't see. Are you chasing me? Are you tired? You tired? Tired, little zombie? He had a parcel. Parcel box. Where is the treasure? Fine. Go to the thing. What are we doing here? Why am I meeting people? I'm a little tired. Are you tired? My body? Are you talking about the zombie? Clean out all the deviants. Make sure the collecting area is safe. Don't boss me around. I was already doing that. Do I need to talk to you to do it? Kill 5 deviants nearby. Oh, okay. Whoa. That motion was weird. Come on. Where'd the dog go? Where'd the dog go? There he is. He's turned around. Ew. It's stinky. That's stinky. Oop. I killed your things. Oh, there's stuff up there. I killed the things. I even did extra credit. I did extra credit, you bitches that just stood here and did fuck all. 100. I'm actually really tired. I didn't even think I was up very late. Okay, what? Go to the power generator area and find the distribution box. Is my box gonna be over here? My other armor crate? Ew, dirty water. What? What was that? Do you see that smiley face on there? I'm not crazy. I saw something. It was weird. I'm too short. Restart the generator. What the fuck is the generator at? Oh. This seems dangerous. Find the main factory floor at the center of the chemical. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know. My game's glitching. Stardust pollution getting worse. That's fine. The problem is I'm thirsty, that's all. Okay, I'm here. Go upstairs? Okay. I'm still missing an armor crate. I'm glad I know how to do this without any prior training. Did I do it? Find Denzel again. Alright. Why am I doing your dirty work? You guys are probably still standing in the same fucking spot with your guns like, oh, yep, we're helping. We got guns, see? Fuck you. Where'd your people go, Denzel? Everyone took injury. Doing what? Head to the... What were they doing? Hi, Kikabytes. Welcome. Thanks for the lurk. Everybody has sustained injuries. I didn't even sustain injuries and I was going solo. Rescue time, rescue time, rescue time. Me. Purple glowy thing. Oh. Oh, is she dead? She looked dead. You dead? Finally, you're here. Maybe don't get fucking shit. Where's the other armor crate at, man? What's that? Oh, what the fuck? Ah! Bruh! Well, lore. Lore! I don't care. I want reward, not lore. Landing on the armor marsh. Armor. Armor. Alright. I cannot teleport. Why? Teleportation things don't make sense to me. I haven't teleported at all. Well, back we go. I also just don't know how big the area is. Who wants me to look for the crate? Me. Wrong side of the road. Wrong side of the road. Yeah. I'm not directionally challenged. You're directionally challenged, not me. Aw, man. Alright. It's broken. It exploded. See? Explosion. I need to go home and drop off all the shit in my pockets. The bees and the blueberries. And the bees. Excuse me, climb up. Denzel, you dumbass, with your dumbass crew of dumbasses. Pay me. Pay me. All right, is it spelled with a Y or is it spelled with an I or is her name May? There was 3 different names on one person. Thank you. What did you give me? I don't know what that was. Time to go home. Stretch. Yeah. Take a nap. Take a nap with the Kit Kat. Kitty. Kitty. Basket. What basket at? There you are. Look at him. Tough laughy. Can you imagine snuggling this big ass cat? Oh my god, it would be amazing. Amazing. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh. I don't know how many I can make right now. I should try to make a chainsaw. Ooh, logging operation platform. Mining operation platform. Man's chainsaw. Oh, this isn't for weapon stuff. It's for, oh. Ew. Oh. Adrenaline shots. I should probably have that. Claymore, Mars, scanners, synthesis bench, gear bench. Unlock prerequisite intermediate. I should do... should work on getting electricity. Oops. I can make a refrigerator. Consuming too many ice shakes can cause headaches. Wow. This slot I can put things. After rolling, instant damage, power surge, unstable bomber. 20% for 4 seconds. Defeating an enemy with continuous damage, such as burn or frost vortex. I don't have that. Trigger bullet effects, bounce and shrapnel. Bullet effect damage. Fortress warfare, frost gunner status. Sprint. For 4 seconds after switching or reloading. I think that one. Nice. Mods. Ooh. Munitions, precision amplifier. I should put that on something. This. And then on my pistol. Whoops. On my pistol. I do this one. And can only have one. Need to build containment. Maybe. I'll put dinosaur. I'll put the dinosaur in it. Oh, spaceful. Okay, well then stop saying that I can build shit. Where's the samurai? Goodbye, samurai. Nope. No, the samurai. What the fuck is that? Special materials can be used to craft wind potions. Give you second wind when your HP is close to 0. Oh. Produce food. Settings. Confirm. Alright, you know what? We're gonna put lights over here because somebody's being a weirdo! Where's my fucking lights at? This one. Like that. There. Yep. Now you can't be a weirdo. Can't be a creep now. I can see you. What am I dinosaur doing? He's so floppy. I pet him. Come here. Oops. You stay here. So I can pet you. Hello? Pet? Hello? Oh my god, stop. Why is he like this? I thought he was about to hug me. Cool. Benji, you want to do the main quest? Where are you hiding? Why didn't you shut my window? Didn't even shut the window. I'm gonna go open all your windows. How about them apples? Hmm? Thirsty. You guys want to see Renji's house? It's dork. Window. Window. Where's your... You only have 2 windows? You're a dork. You're a dork. You only have 2 windows. Dark as shit in here. See his dirt? Leaves? What is that? Oh, that's the thing I have. Renji, your potato's sad. Why are you hurting so much? Why, what are you doing with your health? Ah, my hand's falling asleep. Whoops. I was trying to push G and I pushed C. Shut up. You shut up. No, you shut up. My hand's falling asleep. Why is it doing that? Well, I have no feeling in fingers. Yoink. Well, should have watched out. What is this? Bing. Ah. I see you. I was going to hit that. Rude. Why is the bush solid like that? What the fuck? Can I go on bus? No. Okay, why bus exist if no ride? No ride the bus. Did I get off my bike near where you got off your bike? That's funny. I didn't even see your bike. Boom, 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 boom. Wah, wah. Wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Head to Greywater Camp. Heading to Greywater Camp. The fuck is that? Okay, what about it? Oh. What is that, though? What the fuck? What the What just happened? What'd I do? I don't know what that was. I got stuff for it. Oh, wrong way. Somebody put something shiny in front of me, and I wasn't aware of the direction I was going. Can't. Oh god, that's water! Yep. Ow. My bike. My bike. What up, church? That looks cool. I want to explore it. Artist diary. Find me that magical canvas once more. I'll give anything. Huh? Canvas. Chat, write that down. Hello? Okay. Is that here? Hey, look, this island. Well, you can't see it. Wait, this way. Look at this heart-shaped island. You see it? Oh. Loot. Okay, that didn't do anything. Onward. Oh, water. Just kidding. This way. Onward. I guess there's a reason you should follow the roads. Like not running into trees. But there's a high chance of running into these damn cars. Oh, God. On the crocodiles. Hey Renji, this is the place you didn't want to be in last night. I forgot to put stuff away. Oh, what the fuck is that? Ah! This area is rough. Whoa, they got purple lights. Is this somebody's house? What the fuck? Whoa. It's very bright in here. Interesting. Da 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 da. This water, I mean, this bridge is in the water. Not a very good bridge, if you ask me. Did you run out of gas? Run out of gas, Renji? I'm gonna beat you there. I'm gonna beat you there. I'm gonna win. Yep. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna win. It's okay. It's fine. I'm winning. I'm winning. 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 I'm winning. I'm winning. Almost there. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. Winning. Winning.
Hey, how long's it been since you got any sleep? 1 day? 2?
I don't remember. My brain feels like it's made out of mud.
Who's
I'm gonna try a
talking?
nap later.
Tied up with ropes and locked in a cell?
Who talking?
A boy could come up with a solution like that.
It's
Who
better
talking
than
in
the
my head?
alternative.
I hear
I'm
voices.
telling ya. I can't take
Hello, hello.
this much longer.
Hello? Hello? What have you found this
Quite a
time?
frightening case for you, actually. Have you heard of a shop called Riverside Souvenirs to the north of here?
No.
No one knows exactly why so many people...
Alright, any more
Yes, but let me
information?
remind you, this is quite serious. According to some survivors who made it to Greywater, there was an inexplicable... I know that sounds ridiculous, but my intuition is telling me that these stuffed alpacas must be the result of a... All I can do is wish you luck.
I feel like I've done this. Ah. I feel like I already have that deviant. Hot dog. You got a weird name. You know that?
Hey, nice work saving H-37. I gotta say, it's been a long time since anyone's seen a mayfly in these parts, but thank God you're here. Things are getting out of hand around this place.
What's the problem? Why do they call you hot dog?
Because I like hot dogs. Also because people were messing around with my real name. Doug Holt, hot dog. Well, you may have noticed we aren't doing so great at the moment. There's something here. It keeps creeping into our nightmares. Usually it's a spider, but it can take the form of anything. I don't know what it wants, but it's been going on for 2 months.
My head
nonstop.
feels all...
Everyone's afraid to even close their eyes. Now people have begun to go missing. I have no idea if they're even
While
still
he's
alive.
talking, I am going to order food, I think. I need to eat something. Sound like you could use some help.
We sure could. Solve this problem for us, and I'll make sure we make it worth your while. I suggest you start by looking into the old hospital near here.
Oh,
Everyone
hospital.
dreams of that place when they're asleep. I'm not sure why,
Oops.
but I doubt it's a coincidence.
I can't feel my fingers. God damn, what is wrong with my hands? Wish. Oh, it's a game. This is taking a bunch of points. I got the fish. Cool. I don't know about that. Ooh, kitty. Kitty. Ah! I didn't open the thingy. Wink. I live here. This is my tent. Alright. Bye-bye. Oh, where'd your truck go? That's not your truck. Let's do the deviant task. What do you call it, this one? What was happening there? Did you see that? The waypoint was like shoom, shoom, shoom. Let's go see what the deal is with the alpacas. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow. Saffron! We're gonna be rich! Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Anna's toys. Oh, what's that? Wait, hello? Stairs? I don't like that. Stop singing! Ah! You're creepy! Yeah. Ow! Damn spider. Why didn't you explode? Die. Creepy ass fucking toys in this goddamn house. Ah! Doesn't count. Ow, fuck you. Bitch. You were supposed to die! Stupid fucking lag. Stop singing! It's creepy! Oh god, that's awful. I don't like that. I hate that. Everything about that. I hate it. I can't get the chest. Stop. Why are you walking so far? Okay, you can stop now. I hate you. Anyway. Ugh. That was a nightmare.
Well, Lo was definitely right about one thing. There are a ton of stuffed alpacas here. Now we just need to find the deviation. There must be something hidden among these alpacas. If we can only find it.
Man, these better not come to life or some shit. It's fucking weird. What are you doing? This one? Am I hitting it? What the fuck am I supposed to do about it?
Hey, that gingerbread house. That must be the deviation. Quick, contain it. Get it quickly.
Chill the fuck out. Shit.
What's going on? Why are we being surrounded by more and more alpacas?
What?
No, hold on. These are all illusions. I think I've got it. Only the gingerbread house is real.
The gingerbread house is real. What the fuck? What? My face is all wobbly. It's disguised itself as an alpaca. Search for it with the thingy. I left and now cannot get back in. Okay, I see. It's like a maze thing. Also, I was only alerted of alpacas and not sheep. Alright. Is this supposed to be telling me anything different? Because I'm not seeing anything different. They all look the same to me. What the fuck? They are all non-interactable. Oh, of course. How is that helpful? It doesn't do anything. Those are alpacas, not llamas. Oh,
Finally. I'm tired of this gingerbread house and its stupid alpacas. Now let's head back to Lo and get rid of this thing already.
Looks like Renji's doing the creepy doll thing. You enjoying the singing? Flower? Yay! Rule of thumb, if it's brightly colored, you could probably pick it up. Can't hear it. Can't hear it. Cheater. Wah, wah, da, na, na, da, na, 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 da, na, 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 na. I like that I can get a log from a shrubbery. Na, 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 na. Ah, shit. 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 Ah! You almost ran me over. That's what you get. Running people over, you run into the rock. All of chat saw your shame. Hurry, Shitu. Shitu. Hurry, Shitu. Where was I supposed to bring Anna's dolls to? I'm spicy. Nee, 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 nee. I have
So this
gingerbread.
is the object that
I
created
cannot
all
eat
those
it.
stuffed alpacas at
You guys
Riverside
ever
Souvenirs.
had gingerbread before? I've
Who
never
knew
made
that
a gingerbread house.
would
Next
have
time I'll
such
run
a
you
fondness
over.
for them.
Ah,
Now we just
fight
need to
me.
find the right home for this
In
house.
Minecraft.
You know,
Not really, I don't want to play
think this
Minecraft.
procurement unit in your territory would be the perfect place for it.
What do we have for free delivery? Preferably. Charge $30 for fucking delivery.
There is a slight risk, but it's not too high. Although this deviation did cause some disappearances, it only did so when it was all alone out in the wilderness. Once it's held inside
Some of these places, like, right across the street, and they're like $10 for delivery. I'm like, what the fuck?
Fill your house with stuffed alpacas. You'll be able to handle that, right? Here, take this as your reward for containing it. I feel much safer knowing that this deviation rests in your hands.
Yay. I have gingerbread. Benji, did you do the clown thing yet? Have you seen the clown thing? Cabbage. I can take their cabbages. My cabbages! I can't plant things. I can't do the bit. I don't want to waste effort. Imagine being physically unable to walk to a restaurant across the street and DoorDash extortionate asses $10 delivery fee. And then they're like, oh, don't forget to tip your drivers. I'm like, the delivery fee should be going to the drivers, considering they are the deliverers. You can spend $5 on whatever you're ordering. Like, your order is $5. And then you do it, and you get it processed, and they're like, $50 total. Like, where did the $45 come from? And they're like, oh, fees and stuff. I'm like, bullshit. Oh, woof. Alright, you did that on purpose. I picked up a purple thing, but it didn't do anything. Miss me. Underneath the bridge? Oh, there it is. Can you swim? Can I reach that? Okay, I reached it. Ah, the wolves are in the water. Oh, you want me to go all the way across? I don't have to be in the water for this shit. Treasure. I'm glad they changed the interact button for things. I've obtained the formula for like. Gear crate. Hello? Hello? Oh. You can't kill the boss. He crushed your bike. I'm on top. Excuse me, I did not fire that gun, thank you. Rude. How much damage did your bike take? Oh my god, the fucking game is glitching again. Ringy, you're invisible. Uh-oh. Why is it all foggy now? Imagine me, but the drivers aren't our employees, so we don't have to follow the law and pay them. I forgot this is the game with the flesh bus. There's a flesh house too. I didn't walk into the event. I didn't even trigger it yet. Clear the sirens in the thick mist. Sirens. Oh, that. Ah! Bitch. Fuck. Stop it. Shit. I can't see. Ow. Stop! Ah. Oh my god. That was over my head. You're cheating. I didn't even trigger the event. I didn't click on anything. I want to leave. Fucking stupid bullshit. Why am I glowing? There's a person over there. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Marjorie? You have fish. Oh, you have bait. That was bullshit. Bullshit. Like I keep saying, it's one thing if I'm being stupid. It's another thing if your shit's being stupid. If your shit's being stupid, fuck you. How about that? Fix your shit. I also didn't trigger that shit. I shouldn't have to just walk into the goddamn area. Stop. Shooting me through fucking shit. No grenades! I'll throw a grenade. I can't throw that far. Take that. Bitch. Ow. Oh my god, if you guys don't fucking leave me alone! I'm hangry. I'm very hangry. Hello? Hey Renji, you see all these spider webs? I don't know if you want to be here. Do they have an arachnophobic setting here? I feel like this is not a good place.
Hello? Hello? Why isn't anyone here to meet me? Hello? Is anyone there? Why would Dad tell me to go to the hospital if there's no one here? I'm so tired.
Oh, you already got that one. Oh gosh, there's spider eggs. Oh, look at the nurse! She thinks she's like the... She thinks she's like the, Silent Hill nurses, but she ain't. She can't. She wishes. Also, why are the nurses in games like this always female? You know, there's male nurses. Stop sexualizing nurses. That's so fucking weird. They're too tired to put up with your bullshit. Alright, Renji, don't worry. I'll protect you from the spotters. With my little pistol, okay? Ah, spider! Got it. Oh, that's not a spider. You can deal with that guy. Saying we went the wrong way. Up more.
Supplies, no medicine.
Attends. Oh gosh. That's not how blood works. Oh god. You probably shouldn't stand there. Listen, I know what I said, and I wasn't paying attention. Oh my god, there's so many tiny little things. Are they coming behind us? Do you hear the intense music? The little ones aren't so bad. You could just step on them. Oh gosh, we're going into the parking garage. Yep, there it is. There's the thing.
Strange. The concentration of stardust here is extreme.
Wow, you get a lot of the little paper dolls. Hey, look, that's you. Bad friend don't protect. That would... No. No. Oh, hold on. I gotta hydrate. Oh, look. A skeleton. Oh, Renji, I think this is a man-eating spider. You ready? This might be solo. This might be solo. Oh my god. I bet you there's somebody in... Ah! God damn. Wait. Listen. I need to hide somewhere. No, I'd rather you stay stuck, thank you. I appreciate it if you stayed stuck. No, 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 no. Where's your weak point? No, 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 ah! No! I don't like that. Wait, 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 I was reloading. Wait, 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 wait. No, 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 no. No, 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 none of that. Don't do that. I don't like that. No consent to that. My god. Nope. Shit. Cool. The fucking shit hit the wall after I moved. Why am I still in here? No. I hate you. No, don't do that. I don't like this. Ah, this is different than little tiny spiders. No. Stop moving like that. Stop making me watch you do that. I don't like it. What is happening? What is that? What is happening? Oh, that. No, no, no. No, 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 no. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. Kill it with fire. I don't have any fire, but kill it. Kill it with fire. Oh, wait, I do have fire. Yuck! No! Kill it with fire! Kill it with fire! Kill it with fire! You missed. Die. 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 Nope. Let me out. Now I burn this world to the ground. Let me out. I don't like that. Guys, should I have Asian cuisine or should I have Mexican? I hate food. Nothing looks like I want to eat it. Does anybody else have this problem? Anybody else experience my experiences? Use them in the... did you get a reward? Because I don't think I got a reward. I think I... Hey, Renji. Renji, you remember how we fought the guy with the invisible tail? And then he was in the dungeon? You remember that? You remember how that spider was just, kind of that same look to it? You remember that? Hard mode spider. Oh gosh, he's running away. He quits. This is his quitting. This is the point he quits this game for good. You can't run from this, Renji. Mostly because you're going the wrong direction. Oh gosh. Hey, there's... It's up there. Ow! The spiders! How does one get up there? Watch out. That wasn't my fault. I was trying to protect you. How do we get up? There's a red thing over there. I think that's the loot crate. Is there more stairs up? Ow! Ah! Stupid. Protective suit? What? From a spider? A tiny spider? Oh, a ledge? Oh no. This way? He's up there though. Tiny spider needs protective suit most of all. I don't think so. I found stairs. Ah, shit. Ah! What happened to me? Ah! What? Do you see that one with the baby doll head? There's one over there. That was terrifying. I didn't like that. I did not enjoy that. Move. Move it. Barbecue gloves. Was that one of these? Or was it actually just gloves? I need to... Wait, was it a cosmetic? These are all locked. I already had these. The fuck are barbecue gloves? Was that a fucking blueprint? Time for grilled spider leg? No. Oop. Now we have to go find rift points. Bird eggs. Rift anchors, excuse me. I don't know the vocabularies. Barbecue gloves is a blueprint. Oh. I don't want to waste resources on making shit. Oh, I forget these are people. Oh god. Ah! Let me leave. What the fuck? See, if I can't walk in the bush, it should act like a solid wall. Minji, why are you standing there? We have to go find the anchors now. Are these? Oh, there's one over there. We're heading this way. We can go to this one. Who's shooting? Oh, he's following you. Got him. You're welcome. He's there. Oh, that means my gear is broken. Oh, wow. Of all the times that I hit the tree, now it decides to actually hit me. Or, like, collide. Of all the times. I don't have an axe. I need to go fix my equipment is what I need to do. Because everything's all busted. I'm gonna take the scope off. It hinders me more than helps, which is ironic because it's cost me money. What is that? You guys need to learn what honeysuckles look like on a bush. This is the third honeysuckle I've seen that doesn't look like a fucking honeysuckle. mean? Ah, shit. This is stupid. This is me off. You gotta go to the front side of it. Bleh. Bleh. Bah humbug. You sound like you really love this game. I have a lot of complaints about it, yet I continue. It's like Valorant. I fucking hate Valorant and keep fucking playing that shit too. Don't know why. It's a fucking miserable ass experience. You don't say. Yeah. Yeah, I do say. Lucky, do you have your first stream yet? How'd it go? Randy, there's a spider. Oh my god, I only get half of my health. I know what you're thinking. I keep using a lot of ammo for no reason. And honestly, it's because I have to waste this so that I can use the steel ammunition. Oops. Hey, Lorenji, look at that. That's you. Oh, there's a box in there. And a box in there. Oh, it was just a regular box. Second one was bad in it. If me. Yeah. Welcome to the land of scuff. There's no escaping it. Might as well embrace it. Fun, yeah, exactly. That's why we keep coming back for more. That's how you know you're a streamer. Because you keep doing things you hate. And that kills your soul. I'm kidding, by the way. We do it because we love it. And or we didn't have friends growing up. I hear that's a common occurrence with the introverted streamers. They do this because they want to find friends. Ah, bug! What's he doing? Wow, what the fuck? Ow! That hurt. Designated target. I don't know how to do it. Is it out? Is it following you? I can't tell. Yeah, I want to find friends too. I highly recommend chilling in people's streams and seeing how they interact to you first. That's how I collected Renji. Oh, right. The other points. We're going the wrong way. This one. Hello? It won't let me click on it. Okay. That away. Like Pokemon. You mean trapped me? No, you came willingly. Don't act like that. There's a building over here. A panorama. Is that a movie theater? No, it's a supermarket. That's a weird name for a supermarket. Oh, it's that guy. That guy sucks. No, no, no. Ow! Fuck. I should not be here with half my goddamn health. Ow. Ugh. I like how if they have a bucket, it's very protective to their nogs. Super nog protection. Bruh! Ah! I don't have any bonus because my brain's all messed up. Oh gosh, what does the 1 mean on my sanity? Am I going crazy? How do we get around here? Up the road? This way? This road. Oops. I need to go home! I bet he begged you to be your friend. You would cry if I left. You have no proof of that. Sounds like you're all good. Zero? Zero what? Sanity. There's a 1. There's a little 1 by my skull thing. No, Renji's not a beggar, guys. Bom, 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 bom. Did you get that? Oops. Did you get this? I don't beg. If you want me to beg, I'd leave. Bye, Felicia. See? That's how it should be. If you have to beg for somebody's attention, you probably shouldn't be friends with them. That's a red fucking flag. Renji, you're naked again. My face! What the fuck? I completed a goal. You pushed me. I got stuff I gotta collect. When did I share anything? I didn't share anything. Oh, is it because they have gotten a bunch of shit now? Yeah, that thing was not your problem. I was the problem. What the fuck? Who jumped up on... Oh, grenade. Excuse me, put your head back over. Shit. $17. Woo-woo. Oh man, it's in the middle of this crap. First. We're so close, I see the beam. I gotta go home and make ammo. Ooh, I don't have your gun. I also need to go home and nap. Because I only get access to half of my health. What the fuck? It's a lot of work just to go down there to activate a rift anchor that really doesn't do anything for me. You know what I'm saying? Oops. Would it be better to just jump and glide in? I can't. I see a person. Get up here. Let me up here. Oh, the loot box is in there. Oops. Oh my god. Renji, I think that this is just a spider area. You're not gonna like what you see down there. Oops. Gaming monitor. Oh shit. That guy's a problem. What is that? Oh. I almost shot your guy. Oh my gosh, makeup. I love makeup. I use makeup all the time. All the time. Ooh. Holly. Ollie! Is this glass? Why is it always blocked? Warning, biochemical link. I don't know if we should breathe here, so hold your breath. Somebody farted. Oh my god. A working elevator? Whoa. Crazy. He's behind glass. Toy. Bust. Bust. Goggles. Hey, we completed this zone. Look at that. I'm going home. Ow. Oh, it's more than just the hanger. There's a couple of things. Okay, I see. That explains how I get so much crap everywhere. Wait. Seeds. Dismantle. Goodbye, cop teddy bear. This. Rock. I'm gonna put that in rock. Oh, not that. That's not rock. Rock. I do appreciate that I don't have to have the stuff actively in my pocket. We'll take it at... What is the goal of this game? Suffering. With friends. Sort of. Is that an answer for you? My kitty! He's sleeping in his box. No. I don't know the lore. I kind of skip over it. A lot. Maybe I'll do some ramen. Because I want their savory pancakes. Katsu. Yeah, that one. Let's do udon noodles. Yeah. Sound fun. The goal is not to lose your mind with how stupid the game is. Isn't it just? Wonderful. All right. Got to move money. Move. Transfer. Call me a second. Hold on. Dang it. Okay. Do 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 do. Food has been ordered. And now I gotta go wear blue jeans. Dang it. I have a bone knife. That doesn't look like bone. I can make a baseball bat. I'll do that. And calibration. This is the one I made. Dropped gear. What is that? Bronze. What do I need bronze for a baseball bat for? What sense does that make? None. Sintered brick. I need charcoal. I need an axe. Steel axe. I have a lot of iron. Don't forget to make a... I was working on it. I'm gonna wait for shit to fucking... Oh, that tree didn't want to exist anymore. Why is that on two places? What the fuck? They're the same thing. Why are they in two places? What's that? I've got clapping. Cool. I don't like that. Useless. You can eat the flowers, if you were wondering. Corn all. All. Interact with floor mirror to send chrysalis tokens to reforge your character. Harness, transform the butterfly. Level 15 grants star chrome upon opening. Oh, these are blueprints. I don't know if I need to use that. Use the wish machine. Oh. I gotcha. Okay. Purely decorative. I don't need that. We don't decorate around here. I have too many paper dolls. Too many. Explosives. Hadret? What? You didn't like me throwing away the box? I wish I could find the beaver. I'd like something to harvest logs for me. I'm always running out of that. Because for some reason you have to turn the log into charcoal before you can burn it. These things, they don't make sense. Memetics. This animal capture. Ingot, plastic, rubber, stardust. Where do you make that? A whistle? Blow the whistle to summon high tameness domesticated animals to your side. Interesting. Oh, I got more nodes. Precious metal. None of these matter to me. I forgot that I wanted to build a chainsaw. Where do I do that? These? What the fuck is that? Storage battery. Oh, it requires a lot of steel. Do you have to recharge it? Goddamn window. Ugh. This is gonna take a minute. Alright. Gotta hunt some deer so I can dry some meats. Need meat. There's one. A bucket had a baby! I'm a monster! We're gonna pretend that these deer, the babies are grown up and no longer need their mothers. Okay. Oh god, don't walk over to the corpse. Do. The game has this funny thing it does where it spoils your salt somehow. I think that's a little silly goofy of it. Not very mindful. Not very demure. You see, what the fuck happens to my goddamn salt? Hmm? Hmm? Magical ibuprofen. I don't think that's what it says, but that's what I read. I need logs. Cool. I don't have an axe. I get a bonus if I have an axe. I think it's only with the copper one, though. I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you. Make my axe. Oh no, I do get a bonus. You made me wish I could disappear. Did you get your burrits? Give me my axe. Give me it. Stop putting this down there. I want these things down here. What is all this crap? Is it Misk? Misk has my random shit. Renji, do you use SMG? Rifle? Okay, I also use rifle, so you can't have that. Sugar. Oh, there is salt. Why is that in there? This also shouldn't be in here. I'm gonna put my seawater in my water storage, perhaps. You may think I was trying to be nice, but it was mostly me trying to get rid of shit that I don't use. Does this expire? Meat dryer. Like it like that. I can say, oh, like it like that, like it like that. What happens if I drink some milk? Repair. I forgot to do my stuff. Not your personal trash dump. Well, I mean, if I'm not going to use it, there's no reason for me to keep it. It's not a trash dump. It's usable. It's not like I'm like, hey, do you want this candy wrapper? Kitty. Move. Is it better to separate these? 'Cause if I try to put it in different spots, it just shoves it over there. It's stupid. It shouldn't take one item per 20 minutes if they're all in there at once, you know? If they're on separate spots. Because in my mind, it's like laying them in separate spots, right? But if you're laying them all on top of each other, it's going to take probably forever to dry. Spread them out. Spread them. Ooh, steel. Give me more. Oh, maybe I'm using... SRAPMO, maybe? I think this is what mine is. I need wood. I need wood. How much wood could woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Donna! I haven't seen those wolves in a while. Wonder if that wolf pack stopped spawning there. I don't know. And you know, maybe they went with Renji. Somebody breathed on that rock and it exploded. Explode. We're finally getting a Korean barbecue place, and I'm so excited. Like, you know that one where you go and you pay money and you just cook it yourself in front of you? I wanted to go to one of them places so bad, but they're in the cities, and I'm not in the cities. So I couldn't go because it was too far, and my fiance's from a small state, so he thinks an hour drive is too long, and I'm like, no. I mean, I know it's hella fucking expensive. God damn this window. But I want it, you know? Damn, this steel axe is fancy looking. How do I change that? The bullets in this. Failed to see how this is in accessories. Wow. So it just automatically zooms that far? Why'd the other one have lines? Well, 1 hour is just into town. Exactly. That's what I said. Like, before I got my PC, I wanted a PS5 because there was a game that I wanted to play that only was on PS5 for some stupid fucking reason. I wish consoles would stop doing that shit. But, it was like a nearby town had it, but not the local electronic stores. And he was like, oh no, it's too far. I'm not going that far. I'm like, what? And it was at the time they were super hard to freaking find. Kitty. Give me that. Man, seal takes forever. Okay, I need more. This. One hour is a few towns over here. Well, not all of us live in a tiny country. I don't know what the deal is with, like, a lot of Europeans give Americans crap because most of us don't have a fucking passport. There's no reason, and they expire before anyone actually gets a chance to, like, an average person would use them. Also, we don't have money to travel out of our own country, let alone... Do you know how huge it is here? Like I said, an hour is a short trip for most of us. And then, like, there's different... Like, there's a lot of people like... Ooh, Renji, did you open this window too? How dare you? Don't touch my windows. Not having a passport is strange, but we also have nothing to do but travel to other small countries in the EU. See, it's easier, because, like... You go an hour and you've walked through 3 different countries. If you're in the right area. If you're like on a corner, be easy. I am very far north in my country, and it's still 5 hours to get to Canada. My lunch is almost here. We can fly to most EU countries in about an hour. Also, there's that. They don't let us fucking leave the country. Costs a lot. Stop barking. Voice is shrill. Which is like 40 bucks a ticket. Rainair? What is that? I want to say bye to all and see you in 3 weeks. Have fun. And be nice, especially you. No, I don't... What is nice? No. I'm not even being mean. Bye, Flocky. You look like a K-pop idol. Thanks for the gifted sub. I'm gonna shoot your eyeball. Bye-bye. Nice gloves. You got the dragon ones, huh? I got spiders. Okay. I think my food's here now because my dog is acting like somebody's at the door. There's a cheap airline. Is that in Europe? Is that y'all's airline? We don't have that. Oh my god! These aren't even pants, these are capris! Anyway. I'm gonna end my stream here so I can eat. I'm really hungry. Let's see who we're gonna raid. Even to fly out of state, it's like $400. Flying in state's $400. Oh my gosh. You know who's online right now? Playing the same exact thing? Mirachi. Raid Murachi _ and here's your raid message. She can't get once human to work. Okay. Well, we'll still raid her. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.